The DA in Gauteng says it believes that it has evidence showing that the Gauteng Premier, the ANC's Panyaza Lesufi, has been deliberately withholding information about wrongdoing by officials in the province. The DA says a series of forensic reports that go back to 2016 when David Mukura was Premier have not been released when they should have been made public. The leader of the DA in Gauteng is Solly Msimanga. Solly, good afternoon to you. Which forensic reports are you talking about here? What do you believe, in your view, that Panyaza Lesufi's done wrong?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, Stephen. I think, there's quite a lot of these reports. Since 2016, we are sitting with 170 of these reports. And Panyaza keeps saying that they've made these reports public. Please do your own research. Get your office to do your research and tell me if you're able to then allocate any of this. I'm a member of the provincial legislature. I haven't been able to see any of these. And now whistleblowers are saying that, the people that these reports were actually then fingering and actually then recommending that harsher sentences and criminal charges to be placed against these people. Some of them were put on suspension, and all of a sudden, most of them are now back in the office enjoying salaries again. Yet these reports are not seeing the time of day. The question we're asking is, who is the Premier trying to protect, and who was the Premier before him trying to protect and not making these reports available to the public? Because taxpayers' money is actually being used to do these forensic investigations.
Okay, so, for what you're saying is you believe then that these reports show that people are guilty of wrongdoing. Those reports might have come to very different conclusions. They might have found that actually all of these people were cleared.
Well, not necessarily. In fact, one of the reports, is one that Panyaza Lesufi actually then instructed that he didn't like the outcomes of that particular forensic investigation report. And he actually ordered a second one that, came to a very different conclusion. Why is that the case? Why are these reports not being made public? We have been saying, we've been submitting prior applications here in the legislature that have, been met with opposition or not actually been responded to. We have been asking for minutes of some of these meetings where, decisions, were taken relating to some of the contracts that had been awarded, and we have been denied those minutes. I'll give you an example. We've been asking about the Anglo Ashanti, which is also now having its own forensic, report. We've been asking about the minutes of the meeting where David Mukura and Panyaza were part of that meeting to spend 500 million. The officials, on the side are telling us that this was a political decision taken. The politicians are saying that this was an administrative glitch. So one is blaming the other, and we are asking for this report to be released so that people will know exactly what has happened. And we cannot talk about, corruption and the fighting of corruption, Stephen, if this is not, going to be made public. We cannot talk about these things, being hidden. And yet we are saying that we're serious about fighting corruption and maladministration in the administration in Gauteng.
Okay, these reports you say go back to 2016, and you've made the point that was before he was Premier. David Mukura from the ANC was Premier at the time. Does Panyaza Lesufi really have the power to deal with things that happened before he was Premier?
Oh, yes. He was leader of government business and he's now the Premier. Obviously, all these things will fall in his office. And some of them have actually happened quite recently. So these are not things that he wouldn't be aware of. These are things that he would have been very much aware of, having been the leader of government business at the time. So we are saying that if he's got really nothing to hide, and if really he's not interfering or trying to alter the outcomes of these, forensic investigations, then let him release these things as they are. Stevens, it's heartbreaking that you would have children who are supposed to be having school uniforms at this point in time. Yet one of the investigated or one of the forensic report is talking to the school uniform contract that was awarded, and there's been dubious activities around there. There's issues around the bus subsidy that we need to be talking about. There's issues about NGOs that were supposed to be given money that they didn't receive money. In fact, there's certain NGOs that were dubiously registered, and those NGOs have same directors, in a number of NGOs. And these are things that are coming out, through whistleblowers. And these are things that we are saying that we cannot continue to have a situation where these are not being brought to public, or at least as us as members of the provincial legislature are privy to all these reports and unaudited reports as they would have come out. And then for us, to be able to then know what action is to be taken going forward.
Okay, Solly, just to be clear, because there are lots of different ways this can go, does he have a very clear clear legal obligation to release these reports? Does the Premier of Gauteng have to release a report once it's commissioned?
He has the legal obligation to release these reports. He has the legal obligation, in fact, to release, because this is public money, first of all. The second part is that they are using then public, more taxpayers' money to then hire, forensic companies to then look into this matter. So it is in your interest to know what has transpired there. It is in your interest to know what action is going to be taken then going forward. And the only way you will be able to then do that is if these things are made public. So he has an obligation to make sure that these things are made public.
Okay, so then, from what you say, I would like to presume that in every similar situation in every other province, and Solly, including the Western Cape, a forensic report like this has always been made public, every single time.
Well, there should be. There should never be a forensic investigation that comes to a conclusion that money has actually been siphoned out of the taxpayers' pockets into corrupt activities, and this has not been made public. In fact, it should be made public, and after that, there should be criminal charges that are pursued in that particular instance. But what we have seen here is that. And this is according to the whistleblowers that have been contacting us, is that not only have these things been swept under the carpet, those in certain instances that have actually been suspended are now just finding themselves back in office without any action being taken. And these are things that we are now going to be taking to the Auditor General. We are going to be taking to the Public Protector. And we are also going to then go to the presidency with the dossier that we have and say, well, will the SIU then really be released to come and have a look at what is happening here?
Solly Msimanga, thank you very much indeed, leader of the Democratic Alliance in Gauteng. Well,